My younger brother Lucas had a disturbing habit. He liked secretly taking photos of women. Up their skirts, down their shirts in locker rooms or changing stalls. It didn't matter. When I confronted him about it, he burst into tears and claimed I was making it all up. Our parents didn't punish him. They punished me. You're always overreacting, my mother snapped. Acting like you're the moral police. Who do you think you are? Dad just said I needed to learn my place. Later that week, as we argued on the street, they pushed me. I stumbled backward. Straight into the path of a delivery truck. It crushed me. Bones, lungs, skull. I died right there on 8th Avenue. But fate had other plans. When I opened my eyes, I was back. Alive. In Lucas's bedroom, lying on the floor like I always did, on that thin mat they made me sleep on. And there he was, sitting on his bed, grinning at something on his phone. A grin too dark, too greasy for a man his age. It was that same day. I'd been given a second chance. They called me dramatic for caring. They called me nosy for confronting Lucas. Fine. This time, I wouldn't interfere. I wouldn't say a thing. I'd let them see what their golden boy really was. I stood and stretched. "What you looking at, Lucas?" I asked, acting casual. He jumped, locking his phone in a panic. But not before I saw the image. A woman at a gym, bent over, taken from behind without her knowledge. I smiled faintly. Relax. I didn't see anything. Of course I did. I went back to my mat and lay down. They'd be home soon, Mom and Dad. They checked his phone every night, out of some performative parenting instinct. Let them discover it for themselves. That night, Mom walked into the room holding Lucas's phone. She didn't look furious, just mildly annoyed. "Lucas, honey," she said, sitting beside him. "What are these pictures?" "What pictures?" he asked, playing dumb. "You know what I'm talking about. These women. You took these?" Lucas hesitated, then said, "Some guy online said he'd pay me for every picture I sent." He opened his messaging app and showed her the chat logs. Payment receipts included. I watched from the corner, silent. And then Dad walked in. He looked once at the photos, and his face lit up. "Hell yeah," he chuckled. "That's my son. Knows what's worth looking at." I nearly threw up. "That guy really paid you?" Mom asked. "Every time." She clapped her hands, delighted. "That's incredible. At least one of our kids is bringing something to this house." She glanced at me. "Unlike your sister. Useless freeloader. Still living here rent-free." I bit my tongue. They didn't know I handed over every scholarship check I ever earned. They didn't care I cleaned, cooked, and kept this house running while holding down 2 jobs. They didn't care when they beat me for forgetting to fold towels. They only cared that Lucas, their sweet boy, had hustle. I didn't argue. Not this time. This time, I was going to let it all fall apart on its own. And I'd be right here to watch it burn. Chapter 2. Hero of the House. Lucas was glowing from all the attention. He sat taller, grinning smugly as he explained to Mom and Dad how it worked. Guy sends me a message. I snap a few shots at the gym, the grocery store, wherever. He sends back cash through PayPal. "That's unbelievable," Mom murmured, pulling him into a hug. "You're resourceful. Unlike your sister, who's nearly 30 and still contributing absolutely nothing to this family." I was standing 3 feet away, folding the blanket I slept on. My back was to them, but I heard every word. The bitterness, the mockery, the casual rewriting of history. I had handed over every grant and award, never kept a cent. I cleaned the house, paid utilities when they forgot, cooked dinner most nights after working a full shift. But in their eyes, Lucas was a provider, a genius, a predator with a phone. That night, as expected, they checked his phone again. The routine was part of the family's twisted theater. But this time, the performance hit a snag. Mom came into Lucas's room late, face pale, phone shaking in her hand. She sat down slowly beside him. "Lucas, who is this woman?" "What woman?" "These photos. These aren't strangers, are they?" Lucas froze. I didn't turn to look. I didn't have to. "They're from the house," Mom whispered. This is me." Silence. For a moment, no one breathed. "You recorded me in the shower?" Her voice cracked. Lucas's eyes darted to me, like a cornered animal. It wasn't my idea. She told me to. My head snapped up. What? Mom's eyes zeroed in on me like lasers. You told him to do that? I didn't even get a word out before she was across the room, pointing her finger inches from my face. I knew it, you little snake. You've always hated me. Always tried to make my son look bad. And now you're trying to humiliate me? You think I told him to film you naked? I said, calm, even. You think that makes sense? But it didn't matter. Lucas had given her a scapegoat. And she, as always, took the bait. You're disgusting, she spat. You'll never be anything but a burden. I didn't flinch. You realize the videos are already out there, right? Maybe instead of screaming at me, you should ask your precious son where they went. Or better yet, go check the sites he sent them to. That shut her up. For a second. Then Dad came home. He didn't say anything, just stormed into the kitchen, grabbed Mom by the hair, and slammed her head into the table. You goddamn slut. You posted your shower videos online? What the hell's wrong with you? I didn't. She screamed, blood dripping from her nose. It wasn't me. He didn't stop. Fists flying. Shouts echoing. Lucas was frozen. I was frozen. It was chaos. And still, somehow, they didn't look at him. Not really. Mom sobbed on the floor. Why would someone do this to me? I stared at her, dead-eyed. Why don't you ask Lucas? For a moment, just a brief flicker, her eyes shifted. I saw the truth land, but she couldn't bear it. She turned back to me. This is your fault. If you hadn't turned him against me... Check his phone, I interrupted. I dare you. Dad snatched the phone. His face went white. Videos. Dozens of them. Mom in the shower. Mom and Dad in bed. Neighbors. Co-workers. And then... children. Dad nearly dropped it. What the hell is this? Lucas tried to run. I didn't stop him. Because this time, there'd be nowhere left for him to go. Chapter 3. The Blowback. The fallout came fast. Lucas wasn't slick. His phone was a digital crime scene. Hundreds of voyeuristic videos, women at gyms, bars, public bathrooms. Even in our home. Mom in the shower. Dad and Mom having sex. Some were women from his office. Others. Neighbors. He'd sold them. To a man we all knew. You recorded us? Dad's voice was low, dangerous, holding back the fury simmering underneath. Lucas, 25 and suddenly looking much younger, was sweating through his hoodie. I didn't mean, he said it wasn't a big deal, that people sell this kind of stuff all the time. Mom snatched the phone out of Dad's hand and started scrolling. Her face twisted in horror. That's me. In the bathroom, she whispered. You filmed me in the fucking bathroom? Wait, this one. This is us, in bed, Dad muttered, voice cracking with disbelief. Neither of them noticed I hadn't moved from the doorway. I didn't need to say a word. Who did you send these to? Mom snapped, her whole body shaking now. Lucas hesitated, then cracked. Mr. Whitmore, from downstairs. He's the one who offered to pay. The room fell dead silent. Mr. Whitmore, creepy old man from the basement, lurks in the laundry room. Leers at every woman who walks by. I always knew he was off, but I didn't know he'd crossed this line, or that Lucas had partnered with him. You sold videos of your own family to a pervert? Dad growled. Lucas broke. I didn't think he'd post them online. He told me it was just for private use. He said I'd make quick money. Dad suddenly lunged. His fist connected with Lucas's jaw, sending him sprawling against the wall. Mom shrieked. Don't you touch him! She screamed at Dad, putting herself between them. Don't protect him, I said quietly. You gave him permission his whole life. Now look where that got you. Shut up, she snapped at me. That's when the doorbell rang. I opened it. Standing there was a woman in her early 40s. Well-dressed, eyes swollen from crying. Behind her were two other adults, a couple from the building. They didn't wait for an invitation. My wife is in therapy now because of your son, the man growled. He filmed her in the gym locker room. My sister had a breakdown after finding herself on a porn site, the woman added. She thought she was going crazy, until someone recognized your apartment bathroom in the background. They all pushed inside. What the hell is this? Mom demanded. You can't just come in here. Yes, we can, the woman snapped. Your adult son is selling private videos of women, your neighbors, your family, to predators online. You think we're going to stay quiet? Dad tried to block them, but it was too late. You're coming with us, one of them said, grabbing Lucas by the arm. You're going to explain to the women you filmed what you did. To their faces, Lucas resisted. Let go of me. Mom threw herself between them. He's my son. You don't get to touch him like that. You think your wives are so innocent? Maybe they wanted the attention. The slap came fast. The woman in front of her lost it. You're a fucking disgrace, she said, voice trembling with rage. Everything spiraled, shouting, shoving. Dad punched the husband. Lucas tried to run and got tackled. Mom screeched, calling everyone perverts and liars. Furniture crashed. Glass shattered. I didn't lift a finger. I just walked down the hall, stepped into the kitchen, and called the police. Yes, I'd like to report a violent altercation and a possible digital sex crime. Chapter 4, Damage Control. By the time the police arrived, the living room was wrecked. A lamp lay shattered on the floor. One of the dining chairs had been flipped. Mom had a scratch on her cheek, Dad's knuckles were bloodied, and Lucas sat curled in a corner, holding an ice pack someone had tossed him. The officers stepped in, calm and detached. We've had multiple complaints, fighting, noise, possible sexual misconduct involving unauthorized recordings, one of them said as he surveyed the scene. We need to speak to Lucas Whitman. That's my son, Mom said quickly, standing in front of him like a shield. He's just misunderstood. Your son, the officer replied, has been linked to dozens of videos circulating on adult sites, many of which appear to be filmed without consent, including inside private residences, locker rooms, and restrooms. Dad's face turned pale. Mom? She let out a bitter little laugh. Oh please, he's not the only one. Those women could have said no. They knew what they were doing. The lead officer raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, many of the women didn't even know they were being recorded. One was your neighbor, filmed while changing in her own bedroom. Another, your coworker. Not to mention the videos of yourself and your husband. That silenced her. For the record, the officer added, pulling out his phone. This is one of the videos we've been sent. He turned the screen toward Dad. Dad stared. Then his jaw clenched. That's not me, he said slowly. The silence that followed was suffocating. The man in the video, who was very much not my father, was in bed with my mother. Her face was clearly visible. Her voice unmistakable. Mom lunged for the phone, but the officer pulled it back. You've been sleeping with that disgusting bastard from the basement? Dad growled, voice thick with disbelief and rage. I didn't know he'd record it. She screamed. I didn't even know the camera was on. Bullshit. He pushed her. She fell onto the sofa, breathing hard, her mascara streaking down her cheeks. And then Dad turned to Lucas. You filmed this? Lucas didn't respond. He was too scared to speak. You sold this? Still nothing. You fucking sold your own mother's sex tape. That's when Dad lost it again. Lunged at Lucas. The cops barely got in between them. Sir, step back. One barked. Step back now. The other officer grabbed Lucas by the wrist and cuffed him. You're coming with us. Based on what we've seen, we're filing charges related to voyeurism, digital distribution of illicit material, and invasion of privacy. You'll be held pending formal arraignment. Mom shrieked. He's a victim. You can't take him. This is all her fault. She pointed at me. Excuse me? The officer turned. Who are you? I'm his sister, I said, calm. And I'm the one who reported it. Mom's face twisted into something primal. You backstabbing little bitch. I should have strangled you the day you were born. I met her gaze. Cold. Unflinching. You raised a predator, I said. And then slept with another one. Whatever happens next, you earned it. As they led Lucas out, Mom wailed. Dad just stood there, staring at the floor, silent. One officer lingered before leaving. You did the right thing, he told me. I nodded. No one had ever said that to me before. Chapter 5. The Seed of Rot. The house was silent after they took Lucas away. Mom had locked herself in the bathroom. Dad had retreated to the garage and hadn't come out in hours. The air was thick, like something rotting had been stirred up and left to sit. I sat in the kitchen, drinking cold coffee and listening to the drip of the sink. The silence suited me. They had finally started to taste the consequences they'd always shoved onto others. But the storm wasn't over, not even close. Later that night, I returned from work to find the front door slightly open. Inside, the living room lights were off, but I could hear voices. Low, angry. I peeked in. Dad stood, holding Mom's phone, his face pale and expressionless. Mom sat on the couch, shoulders trembling, mascara smudged around her eyes. Her shirt was wrinkled, like she hadn't changed in days. "You sent him more videos," Dad said flatly. "I didn't know he was going to post them," she mumbled. "You're lying." His tone didn't rise. It was worse than rage. It was disappointment dipped in disgust. Mom looked up, tears trailing down her face. "You never touched me anymore. You made me feel like I didn't exist." "Whitmore, he made me feel wanted?" Dad cut in. "While he recorded you and sold the footage like porn?" Mom winced. "And what about the video of us in bed?" He added. "How the hell did Lucas even get that?" "He took it from the baby cam," she whispered. Dad blinked. "The what?" "I kept an old security cam in the bedroom. Hidden." There was silence. The kind that meant something had truly broken. Then Dad asked the question I'd been wondering for weeks. "Is Lucas even my son?" Mom didn't answer. She didn't have to. Dad let out a long breath. "You know what? Doesn't matter. He turned out just like you." She slapped him. He didn't flinch. He walked out. I stepped back before he could see me. I wasn't ready for that confrontation, not yet. That night, I lay awake, listening to the clock tick, waiting. Because I had a feeling things were about to get worse. And I was right. Chapter 6. No More Secrets. It was past midnight when I heard the back door creak open. I peeked out my window just in time to see Mom slipping out of the house in a hoodie and jeans. She moved fast, like she had a destination, like this wasn't the first time. And I knew exactly where she was going. "Whitmore?" I didn't say a word. I just grabbed my phone, slipped on my sneakers and followed. She headed to the park 3 blocks down, an old, poorly lit place with a few broken benches and a rusted-out jungle gym. He was already there, leaning against a tree in his usual sweatpants and stained jacket, grinning like he owned her. "Thought you wouldn't come," he said. "I shouldn't have," she whispered. "But you did." His hand slid down her waist like it had done 100 times before. She didn't stop him. I stayed hidden behind a tree, recording every second. Her voice, his hands, the way she leaned into it even while asking him to delete the videos. She begged, sobbing now. "Please, take them down. I'm ruined." He laughed. "You're already famous, sweetheart." She tried to push him off. He grabbed her wrist. "Don't act like you didn't love the attention." And then, from another bush behind them, a soft rustle. I turned. My breath caught in my throat. Lucas. He was supposed to be in custody. But there he was, crouched low, phone in hand, recording everything just like me. His face lit with something sick. Excitement. Jealousy. Control. He wasn't there to save her. He was collecting more footage. I stared at him. He didn't notice me. My chest felt tight. Rage. Disgust. But I stayed quiet. I had to. When they finally finished their twisted exchange, Mom stumbled away crying, and Whitmore zipped up, whistling to himself as he lit a cigarette. Lucas vanished into the dark. I waited 5 minutes, then headed home. When I got back, Lucas was already asleep. I checked his phone while he snored. Used his fingerprint. Classic amateur mistake. And there it was. Everything. The park footage. Old videos of Mom. Even clips I'd never seen before. Footage of other women, co-workers, even strangers on the subway. Worse yet, he wasn't just selling to Whitmore. He had multiple buyers. Anonymous usernames. Cryptocurrency transfers. He'd built a business out of violating people, and now he had footage of Mom and Whitmore together. He wasn't just a voyeur. He was a blackmailer. I locked my jaw and hit record on my own phone, filming every screen, every file, every payment. Then I placed his phone back where it was and walked away. For once, I didn't feel angry. I felt ready. Chapter 7, Exposure. The next morning, the knock came before sunrise. This time, it wasn't neighbors. It was the police. 3 of them. 2 in uniform, 1 in a blazer who did all the talking. I opened the door. Miss Whitman? I nodded. We received a federal report of illicit media distribution traced back to this address. Is Lucas Whitman here? Mom stumbled out in her robe, mascara smudged under her eyes. He's asleep. What the hell is going on? The plainclothes officer didn't look at her. Your son is suspected of selling explicit video content without consent, including footage of individuals in private residences. Several files were traced to this household network. We have a warrant. He held up a folded paper. The moment was here. Lucas stumbled out of his room, shirtless, hair a mess. What's happening? You're under investigation, the officer said. We need to take your phone, your laptop, and you'll need to come with us for questioning. No way, I didn't. But then Dad entered the room. He looked exhausted, but alert. You filmed me and your mom and uploaded it, he said slowly. Why didn't you? Lucas's face went pale. Dad turned to the cops. It's true. I didn't want to believe it, but it's all on that phone. One of the officers moved forward. That's when Mom snapped. Wait. If you're arresting someone, arrest her. She screamed, pointing at me. She's the one who turned him in. She's the one who's been setting him up. The officers paused. The room was spinning with tension. I stayed calm. I reported what I found, I said. And I saved the evidence. The same evidence you refused to see. You backstabbing bitch, Mom hissed. I should have thrown you out years ago. The officer ignored her. Ma'am, please step back. They cuffed Lucas, read him his rights, and let him out the door while Mom cried hysterically. Dad just stood there, silent, watching his son, maybe not his son, be taken away. As the door shut, Mom turned on me again. This is all your fault. You're disgusting. You traitor. You think the police are going to fix this? You think you're better than us? I looked her dead in the eye. No, I said. But they'll stop you from hiding it. One of the officers remained behind to catalog the devices and search the home for other recordings. You did the right thing, he told me quietly. Took guts. Mom laughed in the background. You think that makes her some kind of hero? The cop didn't look at her. I didn't either. I had what I needed. And I wasn't done yet. Chapter 8. Burn it all down. Lucas was gone. They took him into custody and began combing through his devices. The volume of evidence was staggering. Hundreds of files, dozens of victims. Footage from locker rooms, bathrooms, bedrooms. Some recordings even dated back years. It made the local news within 48 hours. Voyeur ring busted in suburban porn scandal, the headline read. His name was printed in bold. So was our address. And then came the fallout. Victims came forward. Neighbors, coworkers, women from his college, even our family's former housekeeper. One by one, they told their stories. And every one of them led back to us. To this house. To them. Mom tried to spin it, of course. He was manipulated, she told anyone who'd listen. He's just misunderstood. The real problem is all these women dressing like sluts. Dad, to his credit, didn't speak. He just drank. And sulked. And stared at the TV like it owed him answers. But the final blow came quietly. The man in the basement, Whitmore, was arrested 2 days later. Police raided his filthy apartment and found an entire hard drive labeled private submissions. Lucas had been one of many sources. Whitmore had built a digital empire off the backs of desperate, careless, or complicit people like him. And then the officers found something worse. Footage of Mom. And not just any footage. Intimate clips. Explicit ones. With Whitmore. When Dad saw it, something inside him broke for good. You filmed yourself with him? He muttered. Voice like ash. Mom tried to backpedal. I didn't know he was recording. He said he deleted it. Dad didn't yell this time. He didn't even curse. He just walked over and slapped her so hard she dropped to the floor. And then, for the first time in my life, I heard him ask, Is he even mine? Silence. Mom looked up, bleeding from the lip, and for once, she didn't answer. That night, as they shouted behind closed doors, I sat in the living room sipping coffee. I'd never felt lighter. I had won. No, that's not quite right. There were no winners here, but I had survived. I had let the fire they built consume them, on its own. The next morning, I packed a single duffel bag. No one tried to stop me. No one asked where I was going. I didn't leave a note. Didn't need to. As I walked down the driveway, the sun hit my face for the first time in what felt like years. Warm, bright, unburdened. That day, the headlines changed again. Mother identified in sex tape sold by son. Police investigate possible incest ring. Daughter's report leads to federal indictment. Let them burn. Let the whole house rot. Me? I was free. The end.